Nestled quietly between Italy, Austria, Croatia and Hungary, Slovenia offers something that you would expect from one of Europe's top destinations. Spending 24 hours in its capital, Ljubljana, we were greeted with a mesmerising old town, a historic castle perched above the city, dragons, bridges that can compete with Europe's big boys, and those with a penchant for milk out of a vending machine, something to wet your whistle. Hello and welcome. I craft mini travel movies from destinations across the globe, hoping to spark some inspiration for your next adventure. Let's get lost in Ljubljana. Arriving at the airport, we were greeted with some traditional Slovenian music and a view that would look out of place from a ski chalet. There were plenty of options on how to reach the city. We prefer to travel on a budget, so we opted to use the public bus. The bus station is opposite the main arrivals terminal, and we thought finding the bus would be straightforward. Unfortunately, we were wrong. It wasn't clear where the bus was going, so I'd really recommend checking with the driver before you board. So the bus will pull up to the centre of the car park rather than a specific stop, so it is a bit of a free-for-all. So there is a bit of a rush to get from where you were into the queue for the bus, so be prepared for the sprint. We booked a room located around 5 minutes from the old town. Not only was it within walking distance from everything that you'd want to see in Ljubljana, the room was beautiful. We paid about £75 for the night, and that was in April, which we felt was a really good price. You can only imagine what it would be like in the summer with that rooftop terrace and the pool. We immediately put our bags down and headed to our first stop. Rising above the charming streets of Slovenia's capital, Ljubljana Castle stood watch over the city for nearly 900 years. There are two main options on how you can get there. Option number one is the funicular railway. It costs around €6 for return and only takes 2 minutes. Option two is to walk it. We opted for option two, walk to central Ljubljana market in Vodnik Square, and from there take the path up to Castle Hill. It is a straightforward and a pleasant 10-minute walk to the castle, during which you can enjoy a bird's eye view of the beautiful streets, houses and markets of the old town. After making it to the top, it's free to ramble around the castle grounds. However, some of the exhibitions do cost around €12. This medieval fortress dates back to the 11th century, built to defend against invaders. Over the centuries, it has served as a military stronghold, a royal residence, and a prison. Even though we did not visit any of the paid exhibitions, it still has plenty to offer. The castle also provides space for art exhibitions, cafes, a wine bar, restaurants, and serves as a venue for other cultural events. The climb to the top is a rewarding one. Make your way to the double wrought iron staircase and walk along the ramparts. Once at the top, you can see everything that Ljubljana has to offer. After exploring the castle, we decided to head back down into central Ljubljana, ready to hit the old town. The city is known for being one of the best walkable cities in the world, and using public transport around the city is an option, but we always prefer to wander. There is also an option to rent scooters and bikes which are dotted around the city. With its beautiful cobbled streets, boutique shops and charming bars, cafes and restaurants, it is a perfect place to unwind, have a beer and people watch. A very popular part of the Old Town is the square. One of the most striking and recognisable landmarks of Ljubljana is the Church of Annunciation. This beautiful pastel pink landmark really just dominates the square. However, it is more than just a beautiful facade. This 17th century Baroque masterpiece is one of the city's most cherished historical and spiritual sites. If you are finding this video useful, please hit that like button and subscribe. Being from London, I'm spoilt with a selection of bridges on offer, and one of the city's most visited landmarks is the Dragon Bridge. The bridge itself proudly boasts two imposing dragon statues at both ends. According to Greek myth, Jason, who was the leader of the Argonauts, what an amazing film by the way, wanted to return home after finding the Golden Fleece. However, instead of returning to the Aegean Sea, he travelled north to the Danube and reached the source of the Ljubljana River. And this is where our hero Jason encountered the dragon. He defeated it and became the first person to settle here. If dragons are not your thing, you also have the Triple Bridge, which is opposite the main square, and Butcher's Bridge, which, like a few other cities across the world, have locks on them to symbolise your love for someone else. How romantic. While walking around this part of Ljubljana, you can also see some statues and sculptures by a renowned Slovenian sculptor by the name of Jakov Budar. I'm really sorry if I butchered your name there, but I don't know if you agree with me or not, but did this statue look like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things? If you think it did, please let me know in the comments. One thing that did disappoint me about Ljubljana, unfortunately, was the amount of graffiti. Now, while I know this is something very minor and every city has graffiti, I just felt it was a little bit excessive. This city is genuinely very pretty, and I just felt it just let it down in this aspect. And this was by far the best piece that I saw. It certainly made me laugh, and it kind of reminded me of that horse meme. I don't know if you've seen it, I'm going to pop it on screen now. And this is what Ljubljana reminded me of. Well, some pieces are beautiful, and you can really appreciate the artistic nature of the piece, but then some of it, as you can see in the previous footage, was just a bit inappropriate and felt it just kind of ruined the aesthetic of the city. Just a short walk from the city centre lies an area unlike the rest. Metalkova is an autonomous cultural zone bursting with creativity, rebellion and artistic expression. This space was once a military barracks under the former Yugoslavia, but after Slovenia gained independence in 1991, a group of activists and artists saw an opportunity. In 1993, they occupied the abandoned complex, transforming it into an alternative, thriving hub. Against all odds, Metalkova survived numerous eviction attempts and grew into the cultural heart of Ljubljana's underground scene. By day, Metalkova is a sanctuary for creatives. However, by night it transforms into one of Slovenia's best nights out. Now, I could admit that now I'm over the hill of 30 and my hangovers last week, I didn't experience a heavy night out here. But from what I've heard, what I've seen online, it may be worth a visit. Visiting Copenhagen a few years ago, it reminded me of the Freetown Christiana, but a much smaller version. My honest thoughts on Metalkova, while I was in awe of some of the artwork and its incredible history, I just got the feeling I wasn't welcome. Our last stop in Ljubljana was its central market. Open every day except Sunday, this market is where locals and visitors come together to experience some of Slovenia's freshest produce. Ljubljana's market is small, intimate and deeply local, completely different to the markets you might find in London, Rome or Barcelona. Here you'll find a much slower pace, friendly vendors, and it's somewhere where you genuinely can just really take your time. Something that I didn't expect to see at the Ljubljana food market was this milk vending machine. It genuinely blew my mind. It was legendary. Get it? Legendary? I thought that was pretty good. Reflecting on my time in Ljubljana, if I were to do it again, I would probably liken to have taken one of the river tours. We spoke to numerous people who said how brilliant it was getting just a slightly different perspective from the city. So if you are thinking of going, definitely recommend checking that out. Thank you so much for spending 24 hours in Ljubljana with us. It really is such a beautiful city, and if you are looking for something that doesn't break the bank, with a city that does generally have it all, Ljubljana should be on your travel list. Even though this was the end of our time here in Ljubljana, it was not the end of our time in Slovenia. We'll be spending 24 hours in Bled and then moving on to the national parks. If you'd like to see those videos, please make sure you hit subscribe, hit that like button, or comment if you're feeling kind.